Congresswoman Brzezinski, thanks for joining us. I want to start by just getting your overall reaction to the entire speech. It was the longest we've ever heard from a president to a joint session of Congress. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was short on details as far as how we are going to make things more affordable for the constituents that I represent in Central and Southern Illinois. I really believe that President Trump won in November in large part because he said he was going to bring down the costs of things like gas and groceries, everyday expenses. Again, I have not seen since day one his focus on that. There was no real focus on that last night in his speech. What I did hear is a lot of talk about tariffs. I'm very concerned about tariffs, representing a district that is very rural, very agricultural based. I believe in the potential for using tariffs strategically if that's going to help American workers, American manufacturing. But this sledgehammer approach, putting on a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexican goods, is just going to raise costs even more. And so I'm really frustrated by the fact that I think we didn't get down to those details. I thought it was a hyper partisan speech with little as it relates to real solutions that are going to help people in their everyday lives.
Did Congress make a mistake in giving a president such wide latitude to set tariffs?
Well, that's within his purview. Look, I think that Democrats and Republicans could come together on an issue like tariffs if it was able to be used, again, strategically. When you look at China and you look at the trade deficits that we have and the monopoly they have on some industries, it's within our national security, I believe, to impose some strategic tariffs on countries like China when we're trying to get a foothold on our own manufacturing here back home, whether that relates to manufacturing in iPhones, manufacturing in some of our more solar panels, things like that. We need to be able to reclaim some of that territory and manufacturing. But when you're looking at trade, again, from a perspective where we have a fair trading partner like Canada, and you're imposing a 10% tariff on all energy imports, and we're importing a lot of that energy into our country, we're going to see prices go up. So look, I don't agree with the way the president has approached this. I think Democrats and Republicans could come together on tariffs, but that's not what's being proposed.
The question going forward is about trust, though. Why would any country agree to a trade deal with the U.S.? The USMCA was supposed to last through 2036, and the president just ripped it up.
Well, I agree. I think, from an agricultural perspective, the thing that I've heard the most from farmers in my district is they want access to new markets. And so they obviously in the last Trump administration did renegotiate what was referred to as NAFTA, now referred to as the USMCA. It had good labor provisions in it. It had good environmental provisions in it. And a lot of Democrats ended up voting for it. That's the way to negotiate a fair trade deal. But what the president has done using executive orders very broadly and unstrategically, it's going to close markets for a lot of folks, and in particular the growers. And who that's going to benefit, Mark? It's going to benefit our competitors like Brazil, who's already getting a competitive advantage as it relates to soybeans. We want to be able to export our soybeans all over the world. What the president is doing with tariffs is going to close out markets.
And it's already opening markets for China. There are already news reports suggesting that China is now trying to fill the void that American food exports, where they're lacking in Europe and in other places around the globe. I saw one analyst use the metaphor here that in seeking leverage, President Trump has actually shot the hostage here.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's a very dramatic way of putting it. But I do think I would just say to you, Mark, today I met with some of the bigger manufacturing associations, specifically today, to talk about the impacts of these tariffs. And one of the things that often isn't talked about in this conversation is the uncertainty of what tariffs also bring to businesses. When manufacturers are looking to build businesses in the United States or expand their businesses, they need certainty and they need stability. And again, I think one of the things that I disagree with this approach on tariffs that President Trump is taking is the level of uncertainty it's creating for our manufacturing industry. It's a hostile environment and it won't lead to more jobs.
Yeah, he's saying, stick with me. You heard him in the speech there. I want to get your reaction to this quote from the president. He said, quote, "Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again. There will be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much." How do you think that message, downplaying it all, strikes the ear of a farmer in your district?
As tone deaf. I mean, when I talk to farmers, they're very concerned about the tariffs, very concerned again around what this is going to mean to closing markets. Illinois is actually the #1 corn exporting state in the country. It is critically important that we be able to maintain that competitive advantage and continue to move what we're growing right here in central and southern Illinois out into market, out into the international market. I also want to say this is going to mean rising costs for consumers. It's a tax in a lot of ways on working class folks. I've been tracking what the cost of eggs has been in my district. It started out on January 20th around $4.75. Today we are well over $6. And what you're going to see is coffee prices go up. You're going to see bananas. There are things that we do not grow and make here in the United States, and going to see a significant cost increase on working families. So he's really downplayed in his speech the impact of what this is going to mean for families.
When you look to experts on rhetoric, they'll tell us that President Trump and candidate Trump, he's been excellent at branding ideas because he sells simple ideas in small, easy to understand packages. I want to ask you to respond to this next quote and then tell me why you think Democrats are struggling to connect with voters and sell their message in the same way. One line from the president's speech was this, quote, "The American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before." I'm not so sure that Wall Street analysts would agree with that right now, but what do you think about that comment? And is it hard to compete with someone who just knows how to package big, complex stuff at a fourth grade level?
That's a campaign slogan. That's not a plan or a solution to help people in their everyday lives. People want facts on what you're going to do. How are we going to tackle the issues of affordable childcare in this country? When I talk to constituents and they're dealing with how are they going to take care of their child and still get to work? When we're dealing with affordable housing issues, I talk to mayors in my district in small communities to large communities. This is an issue that communities and people want to see tackled. These are the issues that are not addressed. And I think that we can come together. I'm never going to give up on the possibility of being able to work with Republicans and Democrats on some of these very complex issues. But enough with the campaign slogans. Let's get down to real solutions that are going to help people.
If all of this was just empty talk and it's not actually working, then where did Democrats go wrong here? Why are they so far out of power?
Well, I would argue, Mark, I think Democrats need to get back to the issues that support working people. And what I mean by that are these are the issues that I like to think of are what wake you up at night, how you're going to pay your Ameren bill, how you're going to fill up your gas tank, how you're going to pay for that childcare. These are the issues that people struggle with in their daily lives, and the rest of this just comes across as political noise. So Democrats need to offer real solutions that resonate with people in their everyday lives and how we're going to help make them better. But what I can tell you is what the Trump administration is doing, proposing potentially $880 billion of cuts to Medicaid. We just saw a plan that would lead to further layoffs of the Veterans Administration, up to 80,000 layoffs. This is going to hurt veterans' abilities to get health care. We need to meet people on the issues that they confront in their daily lives and how we're going to help make them better.
I think you're aware that Congressman Bost is involved in the Veterans Affairs Department with oversight there. And yet the political arm of the Republican congressional campaign apparatus, the NRCC, is telling Republican members of Congress, don't do town halls, don't face the voters. Will you commit to doing town halls? And given his position on the committee, should Chairman Bost also face the voters in his district and explain what's going on at the VA?
I think we should all, be meeting with our voters and talking to them. I've done a teletown hall. I'm going to continue to meet with my constituents. I will tell you, we had a record number of participants on the first teletown hall we did. Almost 10,000 people joined, Mark. And it was for a full hour. And so I'm going to continue to do meetups like that to meet with my constituents. And I think every member of Congress owes that to their constituents, to meet with them and hear them about their concerns.
Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski, thanks for your time.